All right, welcome to Board of Commissioners, September 3rd. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Tonight we'll be joined by Bobby Green. If you could join us up here and lead us in prayer and invocation, pledge and invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag,
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Everyone bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you once again, Lord, just to say thank you, Lord, for another day, Lord. I just want to say thank you, Lord, for blessing us and blessing this town, blessing our mayor, our commissioners, and the people, Lord. Just want to say thank you, Lord, for making us more like you and less like them, Lord, as we travel up and down the dangerous highways to and from, Lord. Keeping us when we can't keep ourselves, Lord. I just want to say thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Green. All right, we have got the agenda before us. I think we're going to modify it a little bit.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to add a number 4, and that would include a discussion of a one-time waiver.
All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. That's unanimous. All right, I'll take a motion to approve the amended.
I'll make the motion that we approve the amended agendas spoken earlier.
All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. That's unanimous. All right, let's see. We are going to start with public comment, first of the month. All right, anyone may speak on any issue at public comment. If you want to speak at a public hearing, please wait until it's been opened. I don't think we have any of those tonight. Before speaking, if you'll state your name and address for the record, we respectfully ask that you keep it under 3 minutes, just so we can keep the meeting moving forward. With that, first, Nick Dominguez, you're first.
Hello, my name is Nick. I live on the 22 Clearfield in the Clearfield Estates. I gave the commissioners and all of the town representatives a form that states everything that I'm going to talk about today. And I'm writing and presenting to bring urgent attention to the unacceptable infrastructure conditions surrounding the new developments off of Tippett and Roy Adams Road here in Angier. As a resident of Clearfield Estates, which lies between the developments of Cotswold and another one that is yet to be named, I have witnessed firsthand the unsafe and concerning issues that have arisen. To start with these concerns is the standing water and the settlement buildup in the streets that are being caused by blockages and flooding. The improper drainage in these areas is reminiscent of the issues that have experienced by the Mayberry property, the farm that is off of 55, who has experienced flooding and also expressed these concerns proactively in the past. It is clear that the construction practices of the Wellens Construction Company are to blame for these issues because that is the only commonality between these developments across town. Pertaining to my ever-growing list of the current state is the current state of the sidewalks, which is especially troubling for individuals with mobility challenges. The height difference between the street level and the sidewalks ranges from 2 to 4 inches, and it is making it nearly impossible for people using wheelchairs or mobility scooters to navigate safely. I have observed that these conditions are an ongoing risk and they create significant barriers for members of our community. Not to exclude that the plastic coverings are still on the sidewalk slip guards, which render them pointless as well. The infrastructure issues, especially the ones that I have stated before, have also directly impacted me and my family. On Christmas Day in 2023, my husband broke his foot due to the uneven curbs and sidewalks. The difference in height between the street and the curbs are significant, and it led to his injury of shattering his foot. This is just one example of how these hazardous conditions are affecting residents. When called, the properties expressed that it is simply up to code and should be safe enough for the public. One of the most alarming issues is the water runoff with these developments, which is creating hazardous conditions in our streets and sidewalks, and also surrounding properties, as the Mayberry property has stated before. The water accumulates and runs across the sidewalks, and not only making them unsafe during those conditions, but leaving a trail of runoff and settlement in its wake. As a parent, I am forced to instruct my children to ride their bikes in the streets instead of the sidewalks, and that is very concerning to me as a mother and as a community member. I am uncertain what specific actions can be taken, but I strongly urge the town to address these issues as they fall within the town limits. The safety of our community should be the highest priority, and I hope that bringing these concerns to light, necessary measures will be implemented to protect the well-being of residents. If you wish to see more documentation, please do not hesitate to contact me.
All right. Thank you for bringing that to us. All right, next, Galen Bishop. You sure? You signed it. So I might make you come up here and say hi at least or something. All right. All right, Miss Rhonda Powell, you're up next.
Hello, everybody. Of course, I'm Rhonda Powell, 92 North Dunn Street. Just want to address again my ditch. It's really, with the rain we've had the past couple weeks, the water is coming across North Dunn Street, down my driveway, and now it's flooding out my backyard and my garage. I mean, I have standing water in my garage right now. So I don't know what the answer is. I was hoping maybe some rocks in this ditch would help. They did come and clear it out of weeds. It's full of weeds again. And they put down some sort of matting that had seeds in it, grass seed, I assume, and that really hasn't done anything. So unfortunately, if somebody could, I have pictures on my phone, I have video where the water is like a river going down, 2 rivers going down my driveway of water. So I just need, if somebody can, to look at it and reassess what's happening there, because the ruts are getting worse. The sediment is going up under my garage doors and building up. And like I said, I have standing water now. So if somebody can help me with that, I would appreciate it. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have my email address, right? You can send me the picture. Yeah. So I will say, in light of the recent rains that we've had, we understand there are a lot of areas that have drainage problems. Don't hesitate to come up here and tell us about it, or you can send me an email and I'll make sure town staff gets it. But we want to hear about it at least so we can try to do something about it. Thank you. All right, is there anyone else that has a public comment that might not have signed up? All right, we'll move on. We have consent agenda. On our consent agenda tonight is approval of minutes from our last regular meeting and our last workshop. I think we've all had an opportunity to review them. If there's no requested changes, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. That's unanimous. All right, we have a presentation tonight from Miss Fran Bishop, who is the chair of the ABC board. We won't put you on a timer this time.
Appreciate that. Thank you. You could. That'd be fine. Please do. All right. Good evening, y'all. Mayor, Board of Commissioners, and your town officials, guests, everybody. Hi. My name is Fran Bishop. I'm the chair of the Angier ABC board. I come before you this evening to follow up on the previous board update that I gave you in June. Just to quickly recap, the ABC board was not able to adopt our current fiscal year budget in a timely manner for various reasons, not the least of which was an ongoing third-party audit of the 2023-2024 financials. The Finance Committee, Mr. Tom Taylor, back in the corner, and Mr. Joe Langley, who's once again a no-show, felt that it was prudent to hire a third party to conduct an audit to determine the correct financials for the prior fiscal year. There were quite a few obvious discrepancies, particularly with the bank balances during their cursory review. Rather than go forward with a new budget, the ABC board agreed unanimously to take their advice, and hire a third-party firm to conduct a discovery audit of the ABC store finances for the previous fiscal year. I've included in your packet tonight the third-party audit report, the bank reconciliations for the prior fiscal year 23-24, and for the current month of July of 2024 that were all done at the request of the Finance Committee. The invoice for the third-party firm hired by the ABC Finance Committee is also included in your packet for review. I will stay until the meeting is over if you have any questions that I did not address here in the presentation, including the items provided in your packet. So before we go too much further, I just want to just let y'all know something, okay? So the duty of the Andrew ABC Board, according to General Statute 18B-701B, a local ABC board shall have the duty to comply with all rules adopted by the Commission pursuant to this chapter and meet all standards for performance and training established by the Commission pursuant to General Statute 18B-203A, 20 and 21. Failure to comply with the Commission rules shall be cause for removal. So we take it very seriously. This is, you know, at least I know our board takes it very, very seriously, that we do things by the book and with full transparency. So, looks like a long list. It's not going to be very long, but this material I'll be sharing with you tonight. Feel free to stop me as I go if you have any questions. I'm aware that I speak really fast. I've been made aware of that by 3 people just today, so it's okay. So we're going to go over the audit results. We're going to go over the prior June results that I shared with you in June. We're going to go over the audited results, the audit findings, ongoing changes, what we've completed since June 2024, the adopted budget, and what's coming next. Okay, so this spreadsheet's the one I shared with you in June. The little thing circled in red there, you probably can't see very well, but that was what we had as a snapshot through April of 2024. We were forecasting a profit margin of 9.36%. The numbers in yellow all the way on the far right were the numbers that I was concerned with when I just created this spreadsheet, just dropped the numbers in there. Taxes were 129%. We still had 2 months to go in the fiscal year. Operating costs were 115%. We still had 2 months to go in the year. As I stated that evening, there were likely several items that were misclassified, causing these overstatements. Didn't believe for a minute then, and I know now there were errors in there. Second observation is that there was nothing forecasted for interest income in the budget. We discussed that at length in the last meeting. We won't go into that. However, I will tell you that as of today, we changed banks in May, and we have already gotten, since May, June, July, we've gotten over $7,000 in interest on our money, which is wonderful. Remember I said it was crazy town last time? Okay, it's not crazy town now. That's perfect. I'm very happy with that. But I wanted to share that with you. And in the newly adopted budget, we have interest income forecasted at $26,000 for the year. So that's quite a nice number. So if you look at the audited statement, this is the final numbers for the 2023-24 year, actual done, sealed, everything's finished and audited. The items I mentioned worked themselves out. They were corrected and fixed. Our sales fell short of the forecasted amount of $4.8 million. We ended up about roughly $4.3 million. But taking into account the current economy, we're quite pleased to finish prior fiscal year with a profit margin of 7.83%. It was budgeted at 13.4, but under the circumstances, we're pretty happy. Pretty happy to have it done and have that that number. 7.83 is a decent number. One factor that was not in the prior year budget that did erode our margin is the discovery audit that we did. They're not free and they're not cheap. $10,000 of that was put into that previous fiscal year, and the additional $10,000 will be in this fiscal year, but it is budgeted. I mentioned it last time, I'm going to mention it one more time. The one-time distribution of $300K that was made to the town has nothing to do with your profit margin. That is deducted after the margin is decided. All of your disbursements, anything that happens after that is not related to your margin number. So just want everybody to be clear on that one. All right, moving on. So this is the juicy one. This slide will need a little explanation. In your packet, you have a copy of the audit results. I pulled all of these straight off of the audit report. So if you need further explanation, just stop me. But in her audit report, she noted over 150 transactions were removed or corrected, including a journal entry that was posted on the last day of the fiscal year to force balance the financials provided by the CPA. In other words, at the end of the year, the fiscal year, the numbers that were in QuickBooks did not match what the CPA had. So rather than go back and figure it out, they just said, okay, we'll just plug it and we'll move on from that July 1, 2023, July 1, 2024, we'll just move on. We felt like that was a really logical point to start our audit. We didn't want to go back. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We started with July 1 of 2024.
You know off the top of your head what that amount was?
I do.
Would you mind sharing it?
It was right around $20,000.
Okay.
Okay, so, but like I said before, there wasn't money missing.
Yeah.
Nothing was missing. It was just, this will explain it here in a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Journal entries were used to plug the bank account variances up to $20,000 so the accounts reconciled. Same thing. They got a bank statement. It didn't match what was in QuickBooks. They said, close enough. Here's a plug. Move on to the next month. Okay. All these reconciliation plugs were removed from QuickBooks. The accounts were completely reconciled by the auditor. You have copies of all those reconciled and those bank statements in your packet for review. Okay, so here's where we get to the questions of what was going on. Duplicate bills, payments, checks, and expenses were removed. There were invoices in there, quite a few duplicate bills and checks and expenses, sometimes 4 or 5 times. Okay, so I know we had a computer crash issue at one point. So sometimes things were in there that they didn't realize possibly were in there. Sometimes a vendor will send you a second invoice with a different invoice number. I mean, there's reasons, but I'm just saying there were actually invoices and expenses that were in there 4 and 5 times. So there were open payables that were not valid. We didn't have the inventory to support that invoice, so it just hung out there and hung out there and hung out there and hung out there. So that was all cleared out. Then we had a bunch of checks recorded with incorrect check numbers. That's easy to do. Anybody that's ever done accounting and printed checks on a printer knows that if you don't start with the right check number, every single check in that check run is going to be wrong. None of them are going to clear your bank when you have your bank downloaded. All of those were fixed, and all of the wrong starting check numbers were changed in QuickBooks. Check number discrepancy adjustments were made in QuickBooks. Everything is hunky-dory now. All those bank accounts are clean. It's a lot of work. All right, moving on. The next layer was the payroll settings, mapping, and employee information. Throughout the course of the year, last calendar year, they went from a desktop version of QuickBooks to an online version of QuickBooks. That's a heavy load for a seasoned accountant. No criticism here. That is a lot of work. It doesn't often work without major issues, just saying from experience. But because of that, there were multiple W-2 errors, 1099 errors reported by employees and contractors. It just appears that some employees' data was not completely or properly transferred. That's been fixed. Correct W-2 forms were given. Relevant income taxes were reported. The employees were given corrected W-2s. The IRS was given a corrected W-2, so anybody that had to file for an extension was able to then file their taxes. That's a great thing, because we did have a few of those. There were missing sales tax payments that were calculated and made with penalties and late fees, but they were identified by our finance officer. Okay, and then the reclassification of sales taxes, that was one of the things that was on that spreadsheet that had a problem. They had been put in the wrong bucket. So that got reclassed on the profit and loss to correct general ledger account, and that fixed the problem. Sales taxes that were incorrectly posted were reclassed to the correct accounts to clear up the tax reporting discrepancies, and the chart of accounts was adjusted to accurately reflect the distributions to normalize the net profit. When I say that, that sounds like a lot of complicated stuff, but basically that means that when a check is written for a disbursement or just a gift to the town or to the police department, that goes below the line. And they weren't going there, they were going into an expense. So they were skewing our numbers. They were saying that our overhead was higher than it actually was. Okay, so it's been corrected. Those things will be keyed and allocated to the proper accounts now. So we won't have things that are hanging out like that. All right, that wasn't too bad. All right, what have we done since June? Well, we adjusted all the adjustments to the P&L that we needed. We'll have lots and lots of hours, Zoom calls, calls with the auditor, requests for information, got it all reconciled. We're thrilled to have it done. Patrick Brady, along with some employees, applied a slip-resistant coating on the dock floor to prevent slipping on those rainy truck days. A racking system, along with a rolling safety ladder, was installed with the help of some employees to get the product up off the warehouse floor, expand the capacity for inventory, and create a safer and more organized work area and storage area. The CCTV system was upgraded, recalibrations completed, along with an additional camera. We had to actually put a new camera in the warehouse because the racking blocked one of the access points. So put in a new camera in there so to eliminate the blind spot. Parking lot was restriped. The deteriorating speed bumps were repaired and replaced. Looks wonderful. Employee handbook was fully implemented and written and fully implemented. A weekly bottle count inventory has been implemented. It had been a while since we did a full bottle count, full inventory of the store. So when we did that, there was some pretty big swings. It netted to $700. It wasn't a big dollar amount. It wasn't a material dollar amount. But what it amounts to is when we got in 10 bottles of something, the description didn't match what was in our inventory. So Casey went back through, fixed all that, and now we're doing just a weekly kind of a spot check. Like 1 week we'll check the bourbons, the next week we'll check the vodkas, the next week we'll check. We're doing it every week now to just kind of stay ahead of it a little bit. And the updates have been made, so our in-stock listing is much more accurate. So Patrick and Casey got that going, and I think they did a really good job. All right. So, since we were able to get all that done, under the direction of the third-party auditor, our newly hired financial officer, and with the assistance of the Finance Committee, a preliminary budget analysis was performed. Proposed budget was presented to the board on 7/22. Public hearing was held on August 1st for input, and final budget was approved and implemented on August 1st. Copy of that is in your folder there. And then, that was quick. That took a long time. Just saying. That was a lot of work. One little slide. Okay, so what's next? So all the requested documents have been sent to our CPA who does our annual audit. As soon as he gets those back to us, should be in the next week, maybe two, we'll be doing, sending out our disbursements for the last quarter. Once we receive that report, QuickBooks training is ongoing. Cross-training will begin in late September. Our new bank accounts are fully functioning and paying interest, like I said. Wonderful. We went from paying money, 0.01%, to earning money, 4.75%. Happy day. All right. The former bank accounts will be closed once the CPA audit is over. We don't want to do anything until he has it. We're sure he has everything he needs, and we don't want to close those out. There's not a lot of money left in those. But as you can see, we've accomplished a lot since June, and we'll continue to make the changes necessary to be more profitable and give more back to the town. We're really proud of the hard work and determination of the board and the employees as we made the transition. We currently have roughly $936,000 in the bank, so we're doing well. Our numbers are good. Our traffic is good. Employees appear to be happy. I haven't had any complaints. Doesn't mean anything, but they appear to be happy. And so if anybody has any questions, that's it for me.
All right, any questions for Ms. Bishop? Oh, we got her up?
This all the standing on with it. Everyone's good? We did, but we handled it, yeah. I'm real proud of everybody. Everybody's worked really hard and everybody's come together, it's everybody's rowing in the same direction. I think everybody's doing well, so we're real
Good.
happy. We're real happy with it. If anybody has any questions, I'll be here for a while. And
Great.
You can ask them here, you can ask me later, or whatever.
I'm
Or
glad you
email
went.
me.
I'm glad you went to all this work, and now you starting off this fiscal year
Exactly. And
happy,
that was the
clean,
idea.
and everything's
Exactly.
great.
Like I said, we're not going back and trying to throw anybody under the bus. We're just saying,
No, but
now we
there's
know.
been a lot of change on that board in the
Yeah.
last year,
Yeah.
and so I think it
Yeah.
stands to reason that
So.
this was probably warranted. So I'm glad we're.
Everything's
this
working well.
point now.
Yep,
Yep.
doing well. All right, appreciate it. Let me know.
Thank you,
if I
Ms.
can-
Bishop.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to move on to item 2. We get to see Jimmy tonight. Oh, sorry. New business. That was presentation. Now new business 1. So new business 1 is Elizabeth for the budget amendment number 2.
So to be fair, Mayor, this goes along with what Jimmy will be presenting.
Yeah.
We are requesting that the board approve a budget amendment in the amount of $125,000 from our PAL bill fund balance. You may be aware that the town repaves town streets every 2 years, and so we did not repave streets last year. We sort of build our fund balance up, and then we go out for bid. And so the bids are going to be presented by Jimmy here in just a moment. So the option before you is to increase the contract services line item by $125,000, and we can pave all the streets that are listed in item number 2 under new business, or the board can decide to use the money that was originally budgeted and cut some of the streets from the repavement plan.
All right. So the money in the Powell bill fund that we're proposing to take it out of, I mean, that's what it's there for.
That is what it's there
Right.
for. That's
So
correct.
it's not like we're taking money from something else
No.
to do this.
So we purposely build up that fund balance in order to pave streets every 2 years.
All right. Are there any questions for Elizabeth? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the budget amendment number 2 as presented.
All right. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, Jimmy.
Good evening, Board. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. So as Elizabeth mentioned, on August the 27th, we received sealed bids for our town resurfacing project, which we do every 2 years. We did receive, like I said, 4 bids to look at paving. I think you've got a list of the streets in front of you. Okay. All right. So before you, we've got the approval for resurfacing for the Johnson Brothers Utility and Paving Company to resurface the town streets. Our financial impact is $393,900. Staff recommends approval for the streets. Mr. Johnson and Bill Drexler, our town engineer, we met with all 4 of our vendors and walked through, got an idea what what kind of repairs we needed on the street. So all 4 were bidding the same items, and so that's how we've done it in the past. It seems to work real well. And then after we received all 4 bids, I said Johnson Brothers were the lowest bidder in that amount. So what we're asking the board tonight is to make a motion to approve Johnson Brothers Paving and Utilities, their contract in the amount of $393,900 for them to resurface our town streets this year.
All right, humor me, because I'm new at this. Just generally tell me how streets are selected. I imagine that it's the worst ones first, or
Well,
fill us in on that.
we look at several different things. So we look at what type of utilities are underneath the streets. All right, we also look at what type of projects we may be having within the next year. So we don't want to go in with our core replacement. So we don't want to go and resurface a street that was going to be, taken back up when during construction when we do our core replacement. So we choose those streets as needed. So
Okay. I like your bid
Good
process. Well, I understand some of this, but it's helpful when you explain it to me.
yes, sir.
I mean, the general public, I know. I like your bid process. If anybody missed that, it's a good way to do it. So you met with all the contractors,
Correct.
had everyone agree on what the proper way to repair this street was,
That's correct.
and then all bid on the same exact thing.
That's correct.
So a low bidder doesn't mean they're gonna do a cheaper repair on the street.
That's
They
correct.
all bid the same repair process. They were the low bid.
Right. Some streets may need some repair, some may not. Example, West Door Street needs a little bit more repair work, and you just can't go back and overlay that one. So
Yeah.
that's what, they do that on a daily basis. That way, we bring them in and get their recommendations. And like I said, all vendors agree on, yeah, this is how we'll fix it. So they all bid. So,
Right.
and what we have done in the past, if the board, chooses not, if it's over our budget, then we come before you to request either budget amendment, or we have to start cutting back on these streets. So we felt with what we had in our availability in our Powell bill fund balance, we felt like it was, it was worth, preparing this and giving you the option to be able to pave all 11 of these streets that we have listed.
And when would that start?
Probably October, November, so he can pave it within this calendar year whenever I talk with him.
Great.
Calendar year or fiscal year?
Calendar year.
Okay. And then would you tell the board the range of the other bid? Do you remember?
Sure.
Just so y'all are aware what other
Yeah,
people
I'll
are
take all the
bidding.
information.
So our highest bidder was $752,000. The other two bidders were around $550,000. Johnson Brothers has done a lot of work with us in the past, and they've done good work. So, and all these vendors, do good work. So
I'm sure the people that traverse these streets that are on this list will be excited to know that this is happening. It'll take, what's your estimated project timeline? Starting in the winter, or will it be next year?
So he hopes to start in October or
Okay.
November, so he'll be done before December.
Okay, okay.
That's the goal.
That's great.
Weather permitting and other things, so.
Yeah. Just really quick, I'm going to read the streets so people don't have to dig to the agenda to see, but you're proposing Windsor Drive, Blair Drive, Brook Neal, West Dora Street, Knollwood Court, Hunter's Way, Wild Fox, Fox Field, Fox Town, Trotter's Way, and Fox Den.
Yes, sir.
A lot of fox. I know, yeah.
Jimmy, can you tell us what subdivisions these are?
So you've got Windsor subdivision, then you've got the West Door Street from right there at 55 all the way down to where the road ends. Knollwood Court, we're doing the entrance to Knollwood Court, right down to the first speed bump. We looked at the remainder of the street, felt like it was okay. Hunter's Way, Fox Hill, the remaining are down there at Campbell Street, down there near
That's
Public
what I
Works. As you go down right before you Campbell Street, you've got those two subdivisions right there on the left. That's two streets to the left.
Can you tell me when's the last time anything was done over there off of Church Street?
On Church Street, we did Lillington Street, which is a block over. We did that, I want to say 2 years ago.
Okay.
On that one. Church Street has part of our core replacement along there. And we're also, because we've got a 2-inch line that runs down the middle of the road, and we've got a 6-inch line on the shoulder of the road, so we'll be relocating and decommissioning that old 2-inch line.
I just wanted on the record that it is coming.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So,
ma'am. In fact, I think I had to go back and look. It may have been 8 years ago since we did Church Street. I had to go back and look.
Yeah,
and
it's
see.
been a while.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just
Usually,
wanted it
usually
on
what
the
we try to do is
record.
make a street should last roughly 20 years on that. So,
Right.
but if all new subdivisions come in, we shouldn't have to do anything for them for 20 years. So,
I just wanted it on the record. Thank you.
oh, yes, ma'am.
All right, any other questions for Jimmy? Thank you, Jimmy. I'll entertain a motion. You guys are good.
I make a motion to approve the resurfacing proposal from Johnson Brothers Utility and Paving Company to resurface the town's streets in the amount of $393. $900.
All right. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 3. We have 3 more applicants tonight for our one final spot on the Community Development Advisory Board.
Good evening, everybody. So the Community Development Advisory Board currently has 1 vacancy available. There were initially 3 candidates for that submitted applications. However, candidate Jennifer Appleby has withdrew her application. She is no longer in consideration. She withdrew that this morning. Of the other 2 candidates, Allison Blackwelder informed me this afternoon she is no longer going to be in attendance tonight. She would still like to be considered with her application for the position. She would like the board to consider rescheduling her interview for the next Board of Commissioners meeting. I told her I would follow up with whatever you decide. Miguel Hernandez, the final applicant, he is present tonight to conduct his introductory interview.
Okay. Thank you, Liz. So we all have got Ms. Blackwelder's application with us. Let us go ahead and interview Mr. Hernandez while he's here. Then after that, we'll decide how you want to proceed. If you don't mind joining us up here, Mr. Hernandez. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I've got your piece of paper, but that's just a piece of paper.
Yeah, it's paper. My name is Miguel Hernandez. I'm originally from New York. Been living here in North Carolina now for about 10 years. My wife and I actually, we have a house in Cary. Our daughter got married a few years ago, so we figured we'd leave her that house, and we just built a house here in Angier in the Southern Oaks subdivision. We still have a tie in the Cary community. My wife and I do a lot of outreach out there. We are actually called with our Church of Jesus, with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We do the Hispanic outreach community. Out there, I do work with the Monte Art and Culture Club, and we do a lot of outreach with them. If you ever been in Cary, they do a Three Wise King Day Parade. I'm actually one of the wise men every year. I've been doing this now for 5 years. I tell my wife it's the only day of the year that I'm a wise man and I know what I'm talking about. And I can get away with it. We actually, since being here in Angier, we've started to get involved in the community as well. My wife is part of the community to help with the Dia de los Muertos. We are doing a couple of events. We're going to be doing the family history component of it. We're with our church. We're going to have computers. We're going to help out with that as well. So once we got involved with that, I figured I want to get involved again. I just turned 60 this year, so I figured it's time for me to start giving back. So now that we've been doing it in Cary, we want to let that go a little bit. And since this is home, we want to see what we can do here and just add a little diversity here and just make this a better place. I love the quietness of it, but I also love that it's growing, and I like to be part of that.
All right. Well, thank you for applying. I appreciate anyone's willingness to serve the town, really, what you're doing. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Hernandez?
Nope, I have a comment. You're a sales rep, as I am. So you have a knack for talking and communicating with people. That's great.
I was a retail manager for 35 years with Toys R Us, Build-A-Bear Workshop, and a store called Lakeshore Learning Center. So I'm used to being around people. I'm used to talking to people. My wife says I can walk down the street and talk to anybody. So, yeah. So now I sell cars for CarMax. The only good thing is that I work from home. Because of COVID, it allowed me to come home, and where I used to sell cars in North Carolina and Virginia, now I just it opened up the whole U.S. I sell cars in California. I sell cars in Texas from my little, room in my little office at the house. So it's fun.
Great. It stands out to me that you have Hispanic outreach put on here for your church, Latino outreach, and that is something that's important to me that the town needs to be doing to encourage more. I see a lot of value in what you could bring to the board. And I hope that if you get appointed, you can help us involve the Latino community with the event that we're planning already, that I think you're already kind of helping with through your church. But other events, all events, not just that one, but we want to be one community.
Absolutely, and it's not just the Latinos. There's every culture needs a little bit of outreaching. So as we do this, we invite everybody. You don't have to be Latino. This coming weekend we have the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, which hasn't played in the East Coast in over 20 years. They're actually going to be in Florida this coming week, and they're doing a little televising show. So we're actually at the Fuquay building. We're actually having we call it a watch party, where it's going to be televised, but we're going to have bouncy houses. We're going to have activities for the kids. We're going to have almost every Latino culture is going to be represented there. I will represent Puerto Rico because that's where I'm from. I'll be doing some Puerto Rican cooking. I'm actually scheduled to cook for about 500 people that day. So I like to stay busy.
Yeah.
So again, I talk to everyone, so it doesn't have to. We tell everybody you don't have to be Latino. It's open to everybody.
So one of the reasons why we have what seems to be a revolving position on this board is the time commitment. It's more than just one meeting a month. I know that sometimes with a full plate, it's hard to ask more. So are you familiar with the meeting schedule? Is it definitely something that you're going to be able to be a part of? And
so yeah,
tell me what you know about.
Yeah, I looked into it, and let's just say I already spoke to my manager, and he says, Miguel, I don't see you having a problem. He goes, your numbers are outstanding. You keep your schedule. You're on at 5 o'clock. You'll have plenty of time. So I don't see it. I originally used to work a 12 to 9, and that changed 2 years ago, and now I'm just steady working 8 to 5. My boss just told me where I would normally, I'm off Sundays and Wednesdays. He goes, well, you're going to be off now Saturday and Sundays. And I'm not complaining about that. So I'm like,
not
absolutely.
at all. They've got plenty for you to participate with now, so.
I can do more activities on Saturday. So I said, absolutely. So yeah, I don't have a problem for that at all.
Yeah.
Great.
So she's right. The meetings are one thing, and it's very important that people on this board attend the meetings so they have a quorum.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of volunteer work that happens on that board too. So we're hoping we'll have people who can be involved outside of just the meeting, understanding that everyone has a career and a life, but still, they take on a lot of projects, manage events, and it takes some volunteer work. Kind of use that board as a pool of obligated volunteers sometimes. But
Absolutely. With Carmex, we do a lot of volunteering hours as well. We have a community they build playgrounds for kids. So one of my things that I've been talking to my manager about, trying to see what we can do here in Andrew and building a playground for kids. So I just started pitching that to him. He's actually away this week for his anniversary. So when he comes back, we're actually going to sit down and have a one-on-one and see what we can do.
great. Any other questions for Mr. Hernandez? Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate
Pleasure.
it.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to me.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
All right. So, however you guys want to do it, we can wait to interview the other applicant, or we can see if we have a motion to fill the position tonight. I'll refer to
I
you
go
guys.
ahead and make the motion to nominate Mr. Hernandez for the position of Community Development Advisory Board application.
Okay. Any discussion? And all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. All right, so that board is full now, right? That's it. Thank you. All right. We're going to move on to number 4, the one we added, late fee policy. So it was kind of brought to our attention. Do you want to talk about it? That's fine. Go ahead. This is kind of last minute, so I didn't know how we were going to do it.
Yeah, that's fine. So during the August billing cycle, it seems that there was either an issue with several customers' bill pay and or the Postal Service delivering checks in a timely manner. People were trying to pay their bill right before the 10th, and then the check didn't show up until like 12 days later. So that we had a larger number of folks who got the $10 late fee. So that happens after the 10th. And then you have until the 20th to bring your account to pay your bill before you get cut off. So I received several complaints about this, and in speaking with the board, some of you are interested in potentially adopting a policy of a one-time waiver. And so the document before you says that the town will waive the late fee and cutoff fee one time as a courtesy for Andrew utility customers. To receive this credit, the customer would need to contact the utility billing department to request the waiver. It will only be granted one time. So that being said, if you call and get a waiver for this incident in August, you cannot call again in December when there's a snowstorm and the post office is shut down for 10 days. So you'll note that the last sentence says circumstances such as delay due to the postal service and acts of God will not be considered after the one-time waiver. So I bring this to you out of interest and conversations that you all have had, and we can adopt this policy now, or you can direct me to do more research, whatever the board wishes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for drafting that so quickly. I know it was short notice. So it's $10. I wasn't sure what.
Yeah, it's $10 for not paying on
For
the
late.
10th.
Yeah.
Yes, and then it's $50 if you get cut off. It's a
Yeah.
$50 reconnection fee, and you can reference that in the fee schedule, which is posted on our website.
Yeah. So it was kind of my thought that, you know, in this case specifically, there was a much larger number of people than there normally was. And it's my understanding that there was some kind of delay between, that a lot of them went through bill pay service through their bank's
Through their
website
bank,
and had a
correct.
check issued that is then mailed to the town.
Right.
Which, you know, you could argue is not the customer's fault, and it's certainly not our fault if we don't receive the check. And it was my thought, at least, that using this instance as simply a reason for us to look at the policy and not reacting specifically to this case, but for anybody that was late or whatever the reason was, it's not really relevant. But I thought that we could, one time per account, not per year, not per account, that we would waive the late. I don't think that I would do the cutoff, but the late fee.
Okay. In the past, there has been, like, if you've never been cut off before
Yeah.
and you got cut off, then there has been a courtesy waiver of that fee. However, we can't find any documentation that says that that's
Right.
So that's just what historically has been done.
Okay. Do you guys want to include cutoff stuff tonight too, or just the late?
Well, my question is, they're notified when it's late, correct? So then it wouldn't be cut off for another additional time
So
period?
when the late fee goes on, we do call people before cutoff and notify them. And that is sort of a new practice that Cecilia has implemented. Previous finance directors didn't want to do that. They thought it was a waste of time, but I think that's just good customer service, particularly if you have someone who has never been late before and they may have, they may be ill or they might have a sick parent or what have you.
Thank you for bringing that back, 'cause we did do that at one time, and it was taken out. So thank you
Yes, well, that's Cecilia
Waiving the fee
taking,
or the
for
call?
that. No, notifying.
Yeah.
We used to do that
yes.
when I first got it.
Yeah.
And then the person decided we don't need
A previous finance director said that we weren't going to do that because,
that. You have a lot of people
yeah,
that they just forget.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
You know, a lot of people.
I will say this, and I'll use, I think if we're going to do that, that we need to have just a policy in place that sets the parameters of when we will and when we won't, so that it's enforceable across the board and not arbitrary.
So this is for every account that the town of Anger manages. This is not exclusive to the customers that were late this previous time.
that's right.
So those customers will have the option to contact town hall, have the $10 as a credit towards their current bill.
As a credit towards their current bill because
Okay.
the fee was already put on
Okay.
as per our policy.
Okay.
And then they had to pay that in order to avoid being cut off
Okay.
at the end of last month or the 20th.
So then moving forward for the other 2,500 customers or 3,000
We have
customers?
4,300.
We have like 4,300 customers.
So for all 4,300 customers that were not affected by this, they'll also have the option to call with a one-time exception.
That's correct.
Is it a rolling one-time exception? Do they get to keep that exception the next year and build up exceptions?
I think it's a once per account.
It's one, yeah.
Fiscal
I don't know.
year June to July?
No,
or
it's
No.
one time.
One time ever. I want to make sure we're very clear.
Yeah, whether you have been a customer for 10 years
Right.
or you're a customer
Yeah.
for 1 year, it's.
I've paid to cut my water back on. Been there, done that.
Yeah, me too.
So I lost my train of thought, but
Well, my train of thought is waiving the turnoff fee. I feel like if they already know that they're late and then they're called and they're notified that it's going to be turned off, I don't think that the town should then waive a turnoff fee if they have been notified. That's just my.
So then you all could direct me to amend the policy to state that we will only consider waiving the late fee one time, and that the cutoff fee is not eligible to be waived.
Because I think the intent of
Can
this
we
is-
include?
I got my train back.
Can we
Um,
include? Can we include that that it's required that the customer be notified at least before it's turned off?
Yes,
Okay.
we can now with 4,300 customers and the staff that we have.
Right.
If we go to 8,300 customers and we don't get any more staff,
Well,
then
so-
I don't want to make any promises that I can't deliver.
This affected 5% or less of our customer base. And so the pool from which she's usually pulling customers' information to contact them is very small. 1 to 2%
I want to say,
normally, or
I want to say they have between 40 and 80 people
Okay.
a month that get cut off. Does
Okay.
that sound right, Jimmy? Yeah. Depending on, I mean.
And so I want to know what the burden on Cecilia or whomever would be tasked with fielding the phone calls and applying the credits and how that's maintained in the system so that it's indicative of having been waived one time. And just to be clear, they have to contact town hall.
They have to.
Even the
to
customers
request
that have
it.
been previously addressed, which is why we're having this conversation.
That's right. They would need to request it. We're not
Okay.
just going to go in and do it without a request.
Right.
So Cecilia and I talked through this policy, and I asked her what the burden would be on her. My concern was that the board was going to want to reverse all of the late fees
Right.
in August and how much time that might take away from staff. I believe Cecilia is the only one that can reverse
Okay.
the late fee. However, as far as fielding calls and answering questions, that would fall to Isamar and Jackie, who is our part-time help.
And are we going to put a time period on which the customers affected by this can make that request? So if they don't use the $10 credit towards what happened in August,
So if they don't call within the next 5 business days, then they can't get August's fee waived. Is that
but they
what
could
you're
get
s-
September's if they paid late or something to that effect. They would still have a credit.
So we're only going to do a look back to the previous month for a short amount of time.
Right.
Is that what you're proposing?
Yeah, well,
I think
it's
that-
probably a good idea.
That makes sense.
Not calling in March about August.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
That
you
one
make a good
time.
point. Yeah.
Best
You owe
way
me
to avoid
$10.
all this is just go on auto pay.
Well,
And that is an excellent point. And the folks that I spoke with, I said, you can set it up on bank draft, and they said they aren't comfortable with that. And so I understand.
well, I would be a little less comfortable with the bank cutting my check after what happened. So
Well, and that's a good point too.
okay.
And they can come in and pay in person with cash or check, and there's no fee. There's only a fee if you pay with a credit card. Yeah. Okay, so we are not going to waive the cutoff fee. Okay.
I think we should. It is one time per account standard.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to write down what I think I've heard from y'all and
Sure.
say it back so that you can make a motion that encompasses everything. Is that okay?
Cool.
Okay. All right. So you're not going to waive the cutoff fee. We are going to notify customers before they're cut off.
think it's good that we make that a policy. I like that we do it.
Is this, just so I'm clear, the policy is for any reason? There's a one-time,
I think that's
and
the
is
cleanest
it
way to
by
do it.
request?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought.
That's fine. I know this all happened very quickly today. So.
Yes, we have a couple of trains going on right now. The customer has to request it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So back on the customer to request it.
Is there a time limit for
That's what I
someone
was
to
going to
request?
say. We should do it by the next billing cycle, something like that.
They have to request the
Request the waiver,
before.
Within 30 days of,
something like that. However, whatever you guys think. But yes, we don't want to have somebody call and say, "Look, last year I got a late fee, and I want to."
I mean, it's September 3rd. Do we say September 30, end of the month? And
I think it just
have
says
it be
a
a hard
general-
stop?
I think we should.
Because what's the billing cycle?
Well, so there's two issues.
I pay it. That's all I do.
So the charges that you get are for the previous month, right? Because you can't get charged for September in September, right? So I don't know, Jimmy, can you help me out here?
Well, so there's two issues that I see with the timing. One of which is, for right now, we're going to backdate this to August 1st for bills that went out August 1st as a right now solution. But then going forward, we need to have something in there that says you must request this waiver within 30 days of receiving that bill.
I said 30 days. That's
Yeah.
more than
So your bills go out at the end of the month, all right? It's due the 10th, okay? Then the 25th is, you get the late fee charged on, and that's usually I think that's $50.
10. The late fee is 10.
At the 10th, but the 25th, the cutoff fee
Oh,
is
okay.
$50.
Yes.
Okay. Then we cut off on the 25th, as long as it doesn't fall on a Friday or on a weekend, then it's the next business day is when we actually go and cut off. So that's the schedule. They go out the end of the month, and hands around the first of the month.
Yeah. We need to word it in a way that however we can catch this larger group of people to get them in on it. So we at, effective August 1st. Yeah, whatever's the easier way to
30
say
days.
it. Yeah.
I assume that'd be roughly 30 days.
Yeah, 30 days is fine.
We'll say 30 days going forward. And
It'd
then,
be within 30 days of receiving the late fee notice,
okay.
right?
Yeah, that's good. And then actually, if we use that same wording and we make this policy effective as August 1st, then those folks still have a week from now to claim that credit from the August, 30 days from the 10th.
You're
Right.
giving credit for the $10, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
So can we do that? Can we make this effective as of, or do we have to word it differently?
I think if you make it effective now, you'd still, like you said, still have time if
Okay,
where you're within 30 days from your late fee notice
okay, all right.
from
Okay.
August.
So it's going to be effective today, but we will,
The policy
But-
will apply
but
because those
policy will
people are
apply.
still in that
Okay.
30-day
Yep.
of the late notice.
Okay.
Okay,
Now, do note that that would mean these people have less than 30 days from today, but
Right.
Mhm.
there is a window for people to request the waiver.
I think I'm,
somebody comes in and they're like, they really want to get it done, and they're like, a day off.
oh, I mean, we
You
would
know,
just
that's-
work with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be, so, if it's not done this day,
Well,
too bad.
I do think we need to, if we have a policy in place, we want to abide by it because we don't want to
Right.
be, one
No.
person comes in a day late and you say, okay, no problem. One person
Right.
comes in 2 days
Right.
late and you say,
Right.
oh,
Right.
so you want to make sure, the reason to have the policy is so you're not having some arbitrary,
So,
decision
then
made.
Those 200 people, I mean, how are they gonna know? If they don't watch or they don't get notifications. Yep.
Right.
Well, you could put it in the bill.
It could be put in the bill.
Put it
They
in the
could
bill.
call.
Yeah,
I mean, I believe everyone that signs up has an email
Right.
file. So,
Yeah. Yep.
so it could be sent via email.
there you go.
You can also add the same verbiage that we do for the 25th. If the 25th falls on a Friday or on the
Okay.
weekend,
Yeah.
you know, that makes
That's a
something
good point,
consider.
Jimmy. Yeah.
Okay.
Not trying to add more and more to it.
I'm pretty sure you turned my water off 10 years ago on a Friday, Jim.
Well,
Hey, no, let me tell you something. I had somebody come to the wrong house and turn mine off. Didn't they, Jimmy?
they did.
Uh-huh.
They went right back out there and turned it on.
All right, sorry, we're going off the rails.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you need from us?
So I need you to make a motion to state that we are only going to waive the late fee. Customers must be notified before they are cut off, which is separate than the late fee.
$10 late fee, right? Want to be specific?
Yes, the $10.
$10 late fee.
Yes, the $10 late fee. And in order for the customer to receive a credit, they have to request it by contacting utility billing department, and you have to do it within by the next billing cycle. So
Can
you
I-
have 30 days.
Can I ask one question? If someone is charged a late fee, currently, how long do they have to pay that?
So it gets applied on the 11th, and then you have to pay your account by the end of the day, the 24th, or you get cut off on the 25th.
I'm wondering if we want to make the deadline to request a waiver the same amount of time that you have to pay, because otherwise, you might be incurring an additional late fee on
Right.
that.
Together.
And from a financial standpoint of closing out the month, you might be in a different month. That could,
I believe if your balance is over $50, you're on the cutoff list. Anything below $50.
But this wouldn't have anything to do with the cutoff list. This would just be the late fee. But if you only have 15 days to pay the late fee, but you have 30 days to request a waiver, that seems inconsistent.
yeah.
Well, all right, so what if somebody did the bill pay like they did and they paid the actual amount, but it came late, and so their account paid, but now they have the $10 late? You would not shut them off in that case because their balance was under 50? So the $10 late fee would get just added to the next month's
next
bill.
Okay, maybe
So
that works.
I'm not 100% sure.
Pro-
I think
probably.
basically once they realize that, yeah.
Right.
So once we realized that this was a little bit of a bigger issue than normal, they were calling people, and so people were being notified that they needed to pay.
Okay.
I think history, the people that do the banking like that and send the checks in, for years, that's always been an issue with that type of banking.
Yeah.
Waiting on a check and then, as we state.
Well, and there's several towns that have experienced issues due to delays with the postal service, and so of course that's not within our purview to fix, and that is its own issue that there's really nothing that we as the town can do to address.
When there are ways to avoid it, that's where I'm at. We can avoid this fee by paying a different way. So,
Sure.
Set up on a draft.
Right.
That's why we always try to tell everybody
Right.
there's 5 different ways you can pay.
Right.
And then obviously.
and if the way you pick doesn't work, you got to pay the fee. I mean, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
why have a late fee? A late fee is a dissuade from paying late.
Sure.
And so,
Yeah. So if this gets passed tonight, then that is that is the grace from the town. That is your one warning. And if you found out that your bill pay came late, then you might consider finding a different way or accepting that your payment might be late and
you
accepting
might
that late
owe
charge.
$10 after
you-
your one time.
You're going to use that method. Yeah.
and do you know of this having happened in this quantity before?
It's, I can't give you numbers.
Right.
But when we're on the cutoff list, when I would go in and talk to utility billing clerks, they would say that's always been an issue.
Right.
Is this third party check.
Right.
That is getting sent in.
Okay.
And whether or not, and I don't know, I haven't done that before.
Right.
I don't know what those steps are. If I get the bill, then I call you as my bank, hey, write a check to the town Okay, well, then it may be 5 business days before they send them out, then it's gotta be mailed, then we got to.
Right.
Right. Right.
So I think it depends on the bill pay service. I know for my service, the bank that I use, if you pay it before a certain time on a Friday morning, it's going to go out that following Monday.
Or
But
if
if
it's
you
later.
pay it like in the afternoon, it's going to be 2 to
Following
3
Monday.
business days. So, it could have been an issue of not getting it in before that particular bank's cutoff time.
And the way the dates fall,
Sure.
I'm not.
All right, do you see any problems with how we have it? I know Dan's pointed out a couple good things. Do
I think that I would like to rework everything and
Okay.
have it go before you all to make sure, because there's just been a lot of conversation and a lot of moving parts.
Yeah,
So I want to make sure that I have it right before you all approve it. And I realize that that's going to be a month.
yeah.
So I don't know, Dan, do you have any suggestion in the interim?
Was there a legitimate issue that caused this time, or is it something that?
It's speculated that the mail is the source of
So-
the issue,
Sure.
and that it was like 200 customers, less than 200, right
I
at
want to
200.
say it was like closer to 400, but we
400.
normally have about
Right.
200.
Normally,
So, yeah,
okay.
so it is.
So it was more than,
Yeah.
Normal.
So
Normal.
the 2 people that I spoke to said that they have always paid by bill pay, and it's always arrived on time, and this was the first time that it.
I mean, I think as long as you're doing something across the board and not,
just for that
picking and
group.
choosing, so you could have a one-time waiver of that fee for this
Yeah.
month, or you could, anyone who calls.
What if we make a motion and I'll get it all written up, and then if we see that something was missed, then we can amend it at the next meeting.
yeah, fine.
Okay.
Yep. So I have make a motion, and if I'm wrong, tell me.
Okay.
I make a motion for a one-time waiver of the late fee. The customer must be notified of cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
To get credit, they have to contact utility billing.
Yes.
And and what was the time frame? By the next billing cycle?
I think that's what we talked about.
30 days from
Or
the
the
late.
25th.
25th.
Why don't we say by the 25th
Of the
of the same month?
of the 25th of the same month. What?
I'm not sure
25th or
people would be
24th?
aware they even have a late. Because
Well, they will
get
be.
a cutoff call for a $10
That's right.
balance.
Well, if you
That's
get a
right.
cutoff call, you late.
Well, you won't get the cutoff call if only your late fee is.
Well, no.
Well, the $10 balance would show up on the next bill, right?
So you might not
So
know
it'd
about it.
be, would it be 30 days?
Well, they're going to know because they're going to get the bill and they're going to call and say, "Why do I have $10?"
That'll be the next month. That's why I
Right.
think we need to be 30 days
30 days.
from the late note.
I amend
Which would
my
be
motion.
the next month. Or if you, I mean, yeah, you could
So
do
by the
30
10th
days.
of the next month.
Or again, 15 days if you want to say, have it timed with payment. But either way, it's up to the board.
By the 10th of the following month.
Yes.
Because it's fair to assume that some people who did bill wouldn't know that they got, because they wouldn't get a cutoff call with only a $10 late fee. That would just roll over automatically. So they wouldn't know until they got their bill. Oh, there's the late fee. And then they have, 10-ish days from
I
receiving
can't wait to
that
pay
bill.
my water bill late. I'm going to call and heckle y'all.
Okay.
Give me my $10. Okay. And my motion stands.
Per account.
All right, does everyone understand the motion? You comfortable with that motion? Covered everything? All right, any more discussion? All right, now all those in favor, please raise your right hand. That's unanimous. All right. Phew. That was almost as bad as picking a logo for the water tower. Where's those drawings, Jimmy? We're waiting for them. All right, thank you, Elizabeth. So that is, let me pull my paperwork back out. strategic plan and manager's report.
Okay, which one do you want first?
You pick.
All right, I'll do the manager's report first.
Okay.
At our August 6th meeting, we received a lot of concerns from citizens about flooding and the impending tropical storm Debbie. One of the areas of concern was West William Street, Colibet Springs Road. Most of this road is maintained by NCDOT. The town's responsibility begins at Park Street, back this way towards the park. We are aware of flooding there at the pond, and we notified DOT and asked them to come clean out those ditches along Colibet Springs. Other areas of flooding that were the most severe during this weather event were Derrick Drive and West McIver. The town's working with property owners to address flooding issues on Derrick Drive, and you approved at the last meeting contracting with McAdams to address the drainage issues at West McIver Crestview. Our 50th annual Crepe Myrtle Festival is coming up September 13th and 14th. It's a great time for everybody in the 50th year, and I want to thank all of our staff who are working. They're beautifying the town. The police will be working, so it's really a team effort. So thank you to our employees. And now I will move on to the strategic plan update. So back in May, the Board of Commissioners adopted a strategic plan to identify important priorities for Anger. This plan had input from staff, citizens, and the board throughout the process. This is a quarterly update on what we have achieved so far. Are you able to put it up there? No? It's okay. So if you will reference the document in your packet, the legend is, if it's in green, it's proceeding as planned. If it's orange, the work is ongoing. If it's red, it has not started. And if the task is complete, it's in blue. So what you have is the actual strategic priority, plan and implement sustainable infrastructure. And then you have the key performance indicators listed below there, and then they are color coded based on the progress level. So just for everyone at home, for plan and implement sustainable infrastructure, proceeding as planned is the Junie Road water tank and the core water system replacement, as well as completing an updated pedestrian plan and implementing recommendations. Strategic priority B, operate as an excellent public service organization. We have 3 initiatives that have been implemented and are completed but still ongoing, which is implementing building inspection software that automates the process for permit generation. So as many people are aware, we started our own building inspections department as of July 1. We have been replacing computers and other hardware for our staff, particularly in finance department, and the Board of Commissioners approved a merit increase for top performing employees in this year's budget. For promoting community and economic development, one of the tasks that's complete is to establish a nonprofit organization that invests in quality of life amenities in town. That has been done. Responsibly manage residential growth. So the process has been started for the comprehensive land use planning process, and the board has adopted conditional zoning and architectural standards. Develop an outstanding parks and recreation system, complete land acquisition and construction of entrance to the new park. That has been done. Coordinate parks and recreation advisory meetings and relay policy proposals to the board. And finally, our last strategic priority, provide a high level of public safety. We have ordered radar and LiDAR for police vehicles, so that is proceeding as planned. We have purchased and installed license plate readers. We have purchased, and the police department is installing new radar speed limit signs on Broad Street, and the board has selected a design build contractor for the new police station. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
All right, so I'll point out to anyone paying attention, the list that we have is available through the agenda on our website. So everyone can see very nicely color-coded. Most of the items I see that are in red that has not started are kind of a domino behind some other things that need to be completed before that can even be considered. I had it's not so much a question, but an observation in F. one that has not been started yet is required crisis intervention training for police supervisors.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to
So
express that is important to me.
that is very important. We requested funds for training, which you all approved July 1.
Okay.
Here we are, September 3rd.
Okay.
So while the plan was adopted in May, some of these things couldn't be started until July 1st.
Sure. Okay. Anyone else? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other staff here tonight that would like to go more in depth on their report? Derek? No? All right. One night, Derek, you're going to come up here and tell us how awesome you're doing. And that's trust. All the staff's reports are also part of the same agenda, so anyone that would like to see it, every department has got a report for their month. It all looks pretty good. So, do any of you guys would like to say anything before we wrap this up? All right, make sure you come to Crepe Myrtle. It's 50 years, 50-year anniversary. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be in a dunk tank. So will a bunch of other people. So
All of them.
come check it out. Come visit Crepe Myrtle in general. Other than that, made a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous.